Welcome, everybody. Are you ready to quit spinning your wheels? You are? You don't really sound like it. I'm not feeling the love. Are you ready to quit spinning your wheels? Okay, that's better. Well, we've got the panel to tell you how. My name is Laura Biewer, and I'll be the moderator today. I am owner of At Your Service Mobile Notary in Modesto, California. I'm also a seminar instructor for the NNA in California. Now, the purpose of this session today is to give you some good news. The news is about that matchmaking process that we all participate in. We're going to start out by talking a little bit about how it used to be, and then what's happening and how technology is making it easier for us to find the jobs more quickly. So first, let me introduce my panelists today. So we're going to start to my right with Steve Allison. Thank you. And Steve Allison is with Closer Hub. And then we've got Mark Bader, and he's VP of Service Link. And then next to him, I have Alan Freelix, and he's with, let's see, Closing Exchange. I have a lot of people. We're going to go to my left, and I have Jennifer Glover, and she's with Notary Dash. Next to her is Brian Hughes with Amrock. And next to him is Aaron King with SnapDocs. All right, we got everybody here, and let's see what we're going to find out. So let me just set the stage for you a little bit. Who out there was doing loan signings back in the early 2000s with no smartphones, right? No scanners, right? We got packages, and the newest technology was eDocs. That was it. If some of you were doing that, I'm one of you, okay? My peeps are here. I'm glad to see you. So I want you to think about some other things that were going on at that time. NSAs did this work really when the most mobile thing they had was their car, and pretty much nothing after that. Also, there was really no standardized certification, training, testing, background screening, anything that would universally allow lenders, title companies, signing companies to assure themselves that they got the same quality no matter what state they hired in. So there were a lot of variation because we all know that every state is a little different. Also, the expectations for public protection in terms of their private information, it was not as defined as it is now, and there wasn't really a thoughtful plan for the consumer experience. The old school methods of getting assignments was primarily doing one of two things. You paid money to be in a registry every year, whether or not you got jobs from that registry. You paid it so you'd have a listing. Another way is you do the old school way, which is you start marketing yourself and reaching out and trying to develop relationships, one at a time. Contracting companies, on the other hand, they had to make manual phone calls through a scheduling department, getting voicemails, busy signals, no answer, because we were busy. And then the company hoped and prayed that they had an NSA in time for that job. Today, expectations have evolved on all sides. The lender, the regulators, the consumers, and ourselves, the NSAs. So a greater expectation from signing services and NSAs to provide timely notifications and updates to the client and to the signers is forefront. Additionally, contracting companies are looking for ways to deliver better experience to the consumer. To be considered for an assignment, standardized training, background screening is required regardless of the state where that signing will take place. And access to that information needs to be in the hands of the contracting company in a secure manner. So how do we reinvent or automate this matchmaking process to meet these ever-increasing expectations? Well, our guests today have developed technology to assist contracting companies and NSAs to do that, and at warp speed. So let's see what they have introduced to address the expectations and limitations of yesteryear. We have a couple of videos. Let's check them out first.
McCullen closing, check. Newton closing, check. Oh, and Alice closing, check.
Hey, busy lady. Got a lot of closings on your docket.
And I just got the Jameson closing too.
Seriously, you just signed up for a closing while we were sitting here.
Yeah, I have Amrock's My Signings app. It works on my phone and tablet anytime, anywhere that I have an internet connection. And not only can I accept a closing with the app, I can also review my closing appointments, find the closing location using GPS, review services, and closing instructions. The app automatically checks me in when I get to a closing location and lets me let Amrock know immediately once the signing is done.
So what if your client has a question during the closing?
Well, all I have to do is click a button and it calls the signing services hotline and I get a real person. They can answer any question that I may not have the answer to.
Don't you worry about missing an appointment?
Not anymore. The My Signings app lets me review my closing schedule anytime. And I can see any messages and required documents that I need for a closing. And when the closing's finished, My Signings even locates the nearest UPS location drop-off so I can drop off the documents that day.
For real?
The My Signings app makes sure everything is signed, sealed, delivered.
Google. I've had a change in my schedule and I'll be in Chicago all day tomorrow and Friday. Please replace my availability for tomorrow afternoon and Friday in DuPage County with Chicago in the same time slot.
Sure, Jim. I just changed your availability. I did notice that you normally complete your signings between 6 and 8 p.m. But my analytics indicate if you're available earlier, there's a higher likelihood for more volume. Would you like to change your schedule or availability?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Set my availability only on Friday of this week from noon to 6 p.m.
Okay, Jim. I took care of that.
Thanks. And I'm actually just pulling up to my next closing. Please check me in.
Okay, Jim. I've checked you in for the John Brown closing. Don't forget to check out when you are finished.
Reschedule appointments, give ETAs, get productivity updates, optimize your schedule, and so much more. Exos is the only voice-enabled digital office management experience. Exos is breaking the boundaries of what you thought possible. And Exos is something else, too. Exos, answer please.
I am just the beginning.
All right, so let's find out a little bit more of what's available and how we might use it. So I'd like to have each panelist, and I'll start, I think, over here with Aaron. If you would just give us a quick, what is your software called? How long has it been available? Who would be the primary user? How do you get it? How do you access it?
So the software is called SnapDocs. Uh-oh. There you go. Can you hear me now? All right. So the software is called SnapDocs. SnapDocs launched probably about 5 years ago. You just go to snapdocs.com, sign up for it. Primary users are going to be notary publics and to some extent attorneys. But sign up for a profile, upload your credentials, and you'll immediately have access to hundreds of title companies and signing services looking for notary signing agents.
Thank you, Aaron. Brian?
So we're on the app, as you saw there, My Signings app through Amrock. We've had that for a number of years now, and allowing you to log on to the app, take appointments, verify your closings, a ton of different services that you saw on the video as well. So it's been around for quite a while.
Great, thank you. Jennifer?
So we are Notary Dash. We launched in October of last year. We are web-based, and primarily notary users, some attorneys, and you just go to notary-.com and sign up there.
Thank you. And I'll come over to Steve.
Okay. I'm with Closer Hub, but we have Closing Command Center. It's closingcommandcenter.com, and it's built for the notary to use as a contact management software, scheduling software, but also gives the ability to have a customized web page to send your personal clients to when you're working to get direct title company business and not just signing service business.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Mark?
All right. Exos is ServiceLink's digital platform. It embodies the entitled end-to-end loan process. Exos Closing really allows the notary agents, attorneys, firms, individual associates to get orders whenever and wherever they want to, right? So they're able to set their schedules, their availability, where they work, and the system will automatically assign work to the users as long as they are available. So we don't require acceptance. We can decline. Really, where we've seen the product go over the last 3 years since we've gone live is the adoption has been, over 95% as far as all of the notaries and signing agents and really providing their availabilities to us to get work.
All right. Thank you. Alan?
And the Closing Exchange, there you go. The Closing Exchange is a combination of two signing services companies that were merged together. Our software is available via the web today. It's primarily targeted towards NSAs across the nation, as well as attorneys in key states. We have a heavy focus on training certification such that our clients are able to identify signing agents who have specific expertise. And we also will be dropping a new application as well as a website that should be launching in September.
All right, thank you. Okay, so my first question is going to be, what qualifies the NSA to be included in the selection of NSAs to receive the assignment offer, and is there a limit in that size of selected group? Can I start with Aaron?
Yeah, so on SnapDocs, you have title companies and signing services with accounts that are going to be looking for national signing agents, notary signing agents. Each of those companies actually has their own set of requirements for their notary panel. So things like, when does your background check expire, which companies are acceptable, how many transactions would you have to have done to be a preferred notary on their platform. When you sign up on SnapDocs, in your account, the software will kind of guide you through what those requirements are to be approved on most people's panels. And then once you have those credentials uploaded or those things checked off, you'll get assignments from more companies.
All right. Brian?
Yep, so the way the My Signings app works is once you're on the AMROC panel, logged into the My Signings app, you're able to accept orders coming into your platform. We look at basically a circumference around where you're located, how far you've set distance to allow to travel to closing. So you have control over that whole profile yourself. So then it's a tiered process of presenting that opportunity to you, simple click and accept. We do that for about 10 minutes per tier. So we allow first set of agents, 10 minutes to click and accept, then we just run through that tiered process. So very simple to accept, and like I said, you really control your experience by setting up your profile and what you're looking for.
Okay, great. Let me see who I'd like to choose. Mark?
So really, I mean, much to what Brian was just saying, really the ability for the notaries, the attorneys, the firms to really control where and when they want to do work. To Aaron's point, everybody has their own, what the requirements are as far as background checks. We're no different. As long as you meet those requirements, you can do work. As long as you make yourself available, you can get work whenever you want it.
All right. For Brian and Mark particularly, you were around already before this new technology has taken place. So those of us who maybe were accepting the assignments by phone call before or texting before, do I have to be part of the app, meaning are all the jobs now going to be pushed through the app and no longer will jobs happen through any other means of communication?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the digital platforms and the way that we're progressing as an industry, I mean, really, that's the future, right? I mean, not only do we have the apps, but you saw through our video, we have the voice technology. We also have web-based, right? So everything is going to be driven to the user in their car as they're traveling or as they're going from job to job. So that's really the future of where we're heading.
All right, same thing for you, Brian?
Yes, I have a question for the audience. How many folks downloaded the NNA app? 85, 90% maybe, 80%? And that's really, so yes,
Yeah.
I think that answers
All
your
right,
question.
so you'll need to be a part of that. Download the app or access the web browser, whatever it is, to be a part of that.
Yep.
Okay, great. So what data makes the NSA attractive to the contracting company? Jennifer, do you have something to say about that?
Absolutely. So I would say just overall, title companies and signing services want signing agents with all other credentials. I mean, obviously you want your commission, your bond in some states. The E&O, a lot of notaries purchase the minimum E&O, but as we're seeing more and more signing services and title companies are raising that bar, some are going 100,000 even higher. But some of the things that really stand out when you're looking at profiles, whenever you have 2 or 5 signing agents respond, we see that profiles that have pictures, profiles that have bios written, about their past or what do they have to offer, and other training outside of just the certification. Have they done advanced training? Have they done additional training? We see that those signing agents definitely get picked, tend to get picked first if they're available.
Great. Do you have anything to add to that, Steve?
Well, for us, for my signing company, we personally handpick every NSA that's part of our team. So we have a phone conversation with them to make sure that they're the type of person that we want out representing us. We're a smaller signing service. It's harder to do on a large scale. I understand that. But if you can have an intellectual conversation with me when you're trying to get closings from us, then I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable. If you're on the phone and it's our first conversation and you're already bickering about fees or complaining about the industry, chances are you're not going to be out there representing us at a closing table.
Thank you. Good to know. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I just want to remind everyone, if you know a foreign language, please make sure your profile is updated with that, because we absolutely see that as a benefit when some of our clients, depending where you are in the country and what language you have, if you can update your profile, then it automatically picks you and shows that we've got you available for that closing. I think sometimes people forget or don't include that, and when we make the call, like, oh, sure, yeah, I speak fluently this. Well, please let us know that. That way it gets you into the closings that are available for that.
I'd also add that if you're certified with any of the electronic closing platforms, e-notarization platforms, that's information that we'd like to know as well. From our perspective, we're pretty agnostic to what the technology is. We want signing agents who are trained in multiple, so we can provide that choice to our clients.
Great.
One more thing to piggyback off of what Jennifer said with the profile pics, right? A lot of lenders are liking, telling the borrowers and consumers who's going to show up at the closing, right? So here's a picture of the person, they'll be driving this type of car, right? So they feel comfortable with not only the quality of what you're delivering to us, but also from a consumer standpoint, who's going to go there, so that the consumer has no doubts in their mind as to how this is going to happen.
And I just add one last thing, references. If you have experience with other companies, other title agents, even lenders, it's important that you let us know that information, because we want to pick people who are well versed in doing these type of signings. So that information is helpful as well.
All right. Everybody had a chance? Okay, great. So hearkening back to registries, which is what a lot of NSAs are familiar with, and a lot of us still maintain those accounts. Do you see how that's going to be in the future? I mean, when you have these kind of apps, you're asking people to basically sign up onto these digital platforms where jobs can be pushed. Do you see registries still being out there for us in the future? Steve, what do you think?
I think that's $1 million question. I mean, I think as technology progresses and we're doing more e-closings and ultimately web notarizations, I think that's going to be the key is, you know, how many different platforms does a notary have to pay to sign up with, to be registered with, in order to be able to effectively service. And, you know, the old registry days, you know, you might spend 30 or 40 bucks to be in there for a year, but, you know, with the new technology, you know, there's costs involved to have the online journal and the data that they have to keep for so many years. So I'm curious to see how that goes, if that's going to be something that's passed on to the consumer ultimately, if there's going to be some kind of technology fee on the settlement statement, that the borrower absorbs that cost because of the convenience, or is that ultimately going to fall on the responsibility of each notary to decide which platforms they're going to maintain their registrations with because of those fees for each platform?
Right. It's an important question for all of us. Anybody else want to add to that? Jennifer?
Yeah, I would. I think that it really depends on the notary and whether or not their focus is as a mobile notary or a signing agent or both. I think a signing agent who wants to work a lot, you know, directly with title and escrow, I don't think that the apps are going to control the industry for at least for a couple of years. I think that the registries are still being used, and that anyone who's on a registry, whether they pay for it or not, that they should indeed be asking people, you know, where are you getting my information every single time they call, so you know where to spend your money. But then also for consumers, right? So we have these really fancy, nice apps, but are these apps open to general consumers whenever they just Google looking for a notary?
Right. Exactly. Aaron, did you have something to add?
Yeah, there's something to keep in mind about these applications that are handling part of the scheduling process, which is that they're like a registry, but with reputation tied to it as well. And so they add some extra functionality for all of the companies that are looking for national signing agents. And I think that's going to be important moving forward, is knowing who you've worked for in the past, what types of transactions, et cetera. It's a big difference between the registries and the applications.
So just to add to that, registries typically don't vet the information that we put in there. We're self-reporting, I have these certifications, I have this experience, I've done this many closings, but the registries aren't going back to necessarily verify everything we say. When you sign up for, say, SnapDocs, then that is verified, right? Okay. Anybody else? I want to actually add to the question we were just talking about, and that's to expand it to, as Jennifer alluded to, the apps aren't everything, okay? They're going to be a big part. When you're a signing agent, it's probably center of the plate for you. However, it's not everything. What else should we be thinking about? And is there room for us to still market, to develop one-on-one relationships, and to gain customers outside of the apps? I mean, in this industry. So, Steve, I think you had something to say on that.
Yeah, sure. You know, if you've been to any of my meeting sessions before, you know that we're big on building local title company relationships as an NSA. And that's where the bread and butter of our business has been, and where we encourage NSAs to make the bread and butter of their business. The large signing companies are great, and I'm not here to put any of them down. I do signing service business every day. But they typically fill the holes in my schedule that aren't filled by the relationships that I have, the repeat business, the person that knows me by name and face, they know my reputation. We actually have a relationship. And so personally, I feel as technology continues to grow and expand, it becomes even more important to build a high-touch part of your business where you're building relationships with local title companies who are going to call you repeatedly because they like the work that you do. It's also important to provide that high-touch experience even when you're doing the signing service stuff, because those reviews will get back to the signing services. And ultimately, when my client says, hey, I want that NSA doing every closing they can for me, I'm going to honor that request, whether I'm a huge signing service or whether I'm a local title company. And so you doing a good job and then asking people to refer you and at the closing table say, hey, would you mind letting your client know that I did a great job for you? I would appreciate that. That high touch becomes even more and more important the more high tech we go.
Thank you. Would anybody else? Yes,
I'll
Brian.
add to, did you have something? I'll add to that. Technology is not necessarily in conflict with building these personal relationships with folks at these companies. On SnapDocs, for example, and I imagine on some of these other platforms as well, we have the ability for escrow officers or schedulers to favorite their notaries, to add comments and notes to these profiles, which are then shared across their organization. And this ties back into the reputation piece that I was talking about before, where it's both the transactions you've done, the work history with this company, and these relationships, which are now accounted for in the software. And that will lead to even more transactions across these companies and other folks that share that data.
Did you want to add, Brian?
Sure. I think if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it's probably something you should set up immediately. And get a LinkedIn profile where you're getting endorsements from other folks, you're getting acknowledgments, and you're building your social profile. I think many of us look at different lists right now to identify who's a good plumber and who in my area believes they're a good plumber. I think the same thing is happening for the NSAs, where you've got a profile out there, you've got a social, and build your social profile so that when a consumer, like looking at the picture coming in, looks you up and says, who's coming into my house, they see a social profile for you that's positive, that does recommend you, that does show what you've been doing in the industry, as Aaron mentioned. So if you're not doing that today, I absolutely would be out there creating that profile for yourself and creating a social media profile.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what Steve said. You know, the experience that you create at that signing is really critical. I mean, that really, you know, Aaron mentioned the word reputation. I think it's a great choice of word. But you're creating a reputation for yourself on every single interaction you have with the client, with a signing service, with title, with the lender. And the better you position yourself as being a professional, and I'm going to use that word strongly, a professional, someone who really invests in themselves, invests in their knowledge and awareness, and in the experience that you're going to provide, that does create a reputation. And I know from our company's perspective, when we get positive feedback, that impacts your performance score in our system, which is going to bring you up at a higher level within the searches for our scheduling team. So I really would just encourage you to take every single signing, every single interaction, and make it a special experience.
Yep. No, I mean, 100%. I mean, what Aaron said hits it on the head. I mean, a lot of these platforms are becoming, you know, multi-tenant, which more than one company can use. If it is a smaller title company, if it's a national signing company, you know, when we look at how our lenders grade us, how they grade you, right? This is all part of the experience. And as we try to make things easier for the agents, we make things clearer for the consumer, all these tie back together, and that feedback back to the lender is crucial. Favoriting people on a panel, getting added, client preferred, you know, these are all options of these great apps that are out in the marketplace. So it's really going to drive both national and local small agents. So to everybody's point on this panel, I mean, everybody's professional, everybody wants to build those relationships so that you can continue to get more and more work from all these different companies.
Excellent. Jennifer, did I miss you?
I don't really think I could add much. Everyone's really
they hit it all.
Yeah.
You know, when you start working with technology, one of the issues that could be for the signing agent would be, okay, I'm not talking to anybody. There's no discourse going on. So if I have a question about the assignment before I can say yes to the assignment or no to the assignment, if I don't have enough details, how can I get those details if there's just a yes or no response option? Do you have a way for us to be able to respond or give you feedback or ask questions? So, Brian, can I start with you?
Yeah, for sure. We try to make everything simple, easy and fast. So in our app directly in there, you can click right on contact one of our partner managed team members and ask whatever questions you have, get whatever clarity you need. So I don't want to make it oversimplify it, but it literally is click the button on the app and you're connected to one of our folks. We'll continue to look at things like chat as well. There are, text is continuing to move forward, and some folks would rather just text or chat that information. So multiple ways that you can communicate, whatever fits it right for the NSA.
All right. Since I'm on this side, Aaron, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just that it's, we're always trying to optimize for both sides of the conversation. So it's, you have these title companies and signing services that want to assign somebody quickly and assign somebody good. You have the signing agents that are receiving those orders. In iterative fashion, when we first launched our text messaging feature, there was no sort of communication around this part, and it didn't work very well. And we quickly added steps for you to, request a fee change or give an explanation as to why you might not be available for a closing. And it streamlines conversation on both sides. We have the same idea of making it as simple as possible.
Thank you. How about over here?
And on the Closing Exchange website, we've got an online chat feature. So if you've got questions, you just type in the chat and you get a response back within seconds from someone.
Perfect. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, generationally, there's texters, there's tweeters, and then there's people that want the human touch, right? As a large company, we still have the human touch, but you can still ping us directly if you want to, right? I don't think that some of these companies are going to ever get away from, you're never going to be able to talk to anybody because that's the customer service that we offer.
Steve, did you have anything to add? We're good? All right. So what other functionality do you see for your apps that would help the NSA manage, whether it's invoicing, you may already have that, or tracking of completed assignments, other scheduling features, reviews? What other kinds of functionality do you see happening? Can I start with you,
Sure.
Aaron?
Yeah, so we focused on this from the early days. We knew that having a large network of notaries on SnapDocs was going to be critical to building our company. And so we've built a lot of free tools for notaries already in the categories that you mentioned around tracking your taxes, mileage, a payments platform for tracking payments, et cetera. When looking forward, a few things that we're really focused on right now, which aren't necessarily functionality as it might have been asked about, but more around how do we get good notaries surfaced in the application so that companies can find them quickly. So as you can imagine with an application like this, the really good notaries, the ones that are constantly performing and responding quickly, et cetera, end up with a lion's share of work. And so we're doing a lot of analysis and work to try and figure out maybe a new signing agent entering the site, how do we make sure they get surfaced so that they get on the radar of these companies as well.
Thank you. Brian?
We're pretty excited. We just rolled out the geofencing, which essentially looks to the closing location that you're going to, puts a circle around it, and determines how close you are to that location. So what that does is, hey, look, if you're in California and you're on the 5, traffic is crazy, it's going to start mapping that and say, hey, we don't think you're going to make it on time. Let's put a call out to the consumer and let you know that we're not going to make it on time. The other thing that it does for you is great, that you don't have to take any action, is once you move into that geofencing, once you move into that location, the app will automatically say, we know you've arrived, so you no longer have to call us and let us know that, hey, we're on time, we've arrived. The app can tell us that already. So it takes another step away from you. You can focus on the experience of the consumer. So we're real happy with that one that has just rolled out. Convenience type things for the signing agents that are in there. Closest UPS box, so you can identify where that is, drop that off, get it out of your hands and back on the way to the title company. So it's things like that we want to continue to focus on that signing agent's experience and take as many things away from what they have to do, make it simple for you, get in, provide a great experience for our consumer, get out and drop the package off, get on to your next one, make more money.
Okay. Do you have something to add? Mark?
It's confidential. No, I'm just kidding.
Next year.
Yeah, no. No, I mean, really what it is it's continuing to build the end-to-end consumer experience, right? And when you look at our consumers, we really have 3 consumers, right? Borrowers. We have our agents, we have our lenders. So really the convenience that we're adding within the app, you saw the Exos voice, right? So we've piloted that with a couple of the our agents. We're expanding that, right? So we see a good future there. Being able to talk through, especially in some of these states where it's hands-free devices, you're traveling back and forth from closing to closing. We think that maybe, we're in the last few years before apps even go away, right? So we're just talking about everybody getting on apps, and we're already thinking about, what happens when apps aren't around anymore. So, big play from a voice perspective. A lot of these gentlemen we're talking about as far as convenient factors, what we do for the consumers as far as feedback and different feedback loops from them and also from the agent. So it's more of the consumer journey and the digital experience.
Great. Alan, John, do you have anything else?
You know, for us, our focus, as I mentioned earlier, is really about providing more of a stratification of our panel for our clients so that they understand, you know, the specifics about the skill set of the different signing agents that we work with. And so what you'll see coming out with our software will be tools that allow the signing agent to become more and more educated about specific clients of ours and what their expectations are. That information, not just via training, but also information that will be pushed out via job aids and things like that, that'll be pushed in multiple ways through different media. Our focus, again, is really about empowering signing agents and allowing you to stratify yourself differently so that when our clients are looking to identify someone, they're able to pick people who really understand what they're looking for.
Great, thanks. Steve, did you have anything to add to that? Okay, it was quite a bit already. One of the things that I hear from people who are using these kinds of apps is, you know, I got my phone, I'm right there, I'm trying to get it, but it's gone. Some people are just really quick. So when you have multiple, so for instance, either because you send it in tiers, groups, or you've got this many that are in the geographic area you're looking for, how does the app know or choose the right NSA? So who would like to go after that?
I'll start.
Proprietary.
You start there again?
Yeah. So
we're going left to right.
Step backwards.
So this really starts with ranking, and the ranking algorithms we use are going to be specific to every company that's using the SnapDocs platform. But before a single notary is contacted for a closing, we pull in all the notaries in the area. We rank them by the company's preferences, by the credentials on file, by the work history with that company, with familiarity with that particular loan signing product, et cetera. And then we also look at folks' schedules to make sure there's not conflicts or appointments too close to the one that's trying to be scheduled. And from there, the first signing agent's going to get a message to see if they're available. If their requirements meet all of the company's requirements, they get assigned automatically. And this way, we skip, you know, unnecessary messages from going out, and skip the headache of people getting messages and not getting assigned to closings.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Brian, you
Yeah, that's it right there. Right?
He said.
That's what he said, what Aaron said. I mean, it really is, and we've talked about it before, is make sure that you've got a consumer experience that has a great experience with you at the table, because that goes back to your scorecard. I think we've all identified that as well. So by giving yourself the best opportunity to be out there, on-time package returns, no errors on the documents from an execution standpoint, even a missing initial counts in today's world, because that does delay us from meeting our client expectations, our lenders' expectations. So give yourself the best opportunity to get that order assigned to you. And that's really what our app looks at, is we take all the criteria, we take the availability, and then we start going through the scorecard to see who has got the best consumer experience in that location, and as well as our client experience by return docs, no errors. So app whittles that down and then puts it out to you, and then be quick on the button after that.
That's it. All right, how about on this side?
Yeah,
Alan? Anything different?
Pretty much
they
the
got
same.
it?
No, I mean, it's the same. I think the only thing I would add is, and I think these guys said this earlier, if we have a client preferred signing agent, that's part of our search algorithm as well. And then I mentioned the training aspects. We do have some elite training programs where we have clients that say, I only want signing agents who have this particular training, and so the search criteria will include that as well.
So right now, the beauty with Exos is there is not a race, right? There's not a race to see who could claim an order first. Someone shouldn't lose an order because they're working in a current assignment, right? So because we know when and where everybody wants to do work, as soon as that work's there, they get it. And then they get it, and it's theirs unless they tell us for whatever reasons they can't make it.
I like that. I want to hit on the training aspect that you've mentioned several times, Alan. Oh, you guys want to applaud for that? That was pretty good. I like that. And that is, I've noticed there may be internal training programs and external certifications. And so within your business, then are you utilizing both? Do they have equal weight? How do you rank or consider training?
I'll start.
I'm going to start with you
right.
again.
So the only training certificate that we really use a lot on SnapDocs is the National Notary Association certificate. There are others out there, and they certainly help. But that's sort of the starter, and then from there it just goes into reputation, work history with companies.
Okay. Brian?
We too. NNA certifications are absolutely required for us. We do have some other requirements for lenders that are out there, and we do computer-based trainings. So essentially, we would send you out a CBT to take it. So whether it's on security of documents, privacy, as you take that CBT, it turns your profile back to available to take assignments. If you don't take the CBT, then you're turned off until you do take that one. So we do have obligations to our lenders to say that we've provided those services and provided those trainings to our agents, and it's as simple as taking that computer-based training.
Right. Okay. Any internal training, Mark?
So lucky for me, I'm the IT guy. So I mean, to the point of certifications,
right.
Background checks. Obviously, all of us need quality products to satisfy our lenders, right? So we want to make sure that the new agents that we onboard will satisfy what our qualifications are and what we expect from our agents. So, our group, Christy and Jen, they handle a lot of that. So I get to stay out of and just play in all the new fun stuff. So I don't have to too much to say on that.
So, Steve, what do you think about just training in general, whether it's for your own company and your screening process?
Yeah, training's good.
It's real good. More is better.
I could have done that.
Yeah. What I'd like to address is both the last questions, more from the NSA perspective, because I am an NSA. So to circle back to the last question real quick, just about the frustration that can be caused to a notary by not responding quick enough, okay? I just think as notaries we have to embrace that that's the nature of the business, especially with signing service business. They have, an ungodly amount of data that they are processing instantaneously. And they've got to have an answer. They have service level agreements with their clients. They need to fill the order within a certain time period. They can't wait 5-10 minutes to hear from you as to whether you're available or not. And so you just have to know that that's the nature of the business, and you got to be quick. And if you're not, it's okay. Move on to the next one. Don't get your undies in a bunch over it, okay? But also it reinforces the importance of building those relationships with your local title companies, because getting a phone call from somebody that knows you, they're going to hold out for you if they know you, as opposed to you just being one of 10 highly qualified notaries that are in your area that might be available for this specific signing, okay? And then again with training, it's similar to it. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about with the registries, right? Everybody's got their training. And you go, oh my gosh, I got to take another training, and it gets frustrating. And I know it wears on us as NSAs, but just know, it's your business. You don't have to do it all. Pick and choose what you want to do. If you don't want to do somebody's training, if you don't want to get somebody's certification, if you don't want to have a specific background check, it's okay. It's your business. Make that decision and move on. Don't let it affect your attitude in a way that we hear complaints all the time from notaries about all the different stuff you have to do, and it's like, you don't have to do it all. So just pick the things that you want to do, and know that if you want to be available for those specific closings from AmRock, you need to take that training from AmRock in order to get that specific closing. If you don't want to do it, it's okay. They're not going to care, because there's how many tens of thousands of other notaries that are available? You know what I mean? You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings at AmRock if you don't respond quick enough or if you don't take a specific training. You're just making yourself more available is what I'm getting at.
By doing that,
yeah,
by adding the training.
Yes, correct.
How about you, Jennifer?
We do care about you. Just
Every single one.
Panel's been together for a long time. It's a great point, though. You're right. If you choose to take your business a different direction, we wish you the best of luck. We want you to be successful. So you're absolutely right. We want you to be successful with that. But it's not like if you don't take it, we all of a sudden have a black mark for you or anything else.
Right.
Great agent for us a long time, but you're taking a business a different direction. We're absolutely good with that and support you.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. The industry's changing a lot, especially the last few years. Technology is one aspect of it. We also see laws and legislative changing. And so, there's states that are moving to the web notary and more e-notary. And so, you know, you really have to decide. I mean, 500 of you came to Vegas to participate in the National Notary, you know, Association conference. Like that's big, that's huge. That's showing that, you know, you're most likely very dedicated to your business. You have to also decide, you know, like Steve said, you know, you don't have to do it all, but if you're going to be a signing agent, right, like really focus on building your knowledge and your, you know, go out there and get those additional certifications or training, or find a mentor, or go work with, you know, an escrow officer and say, hey, you know, what do you look for? What do you feel like's missing in your signings? If you want to stand out and really excel in this industry over the next several years, as we see so many changes, and you want to build those relationships with your title and escrow companies, and you don't want them to go and you know, send it off to some, you know, call center or some type, you have to stand out. And so how are you going to stand out? You need to go build a relationship. You need to know the documents. You need to know the industry. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really important.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I think everybody had a chance to talk about that. What I'd like to do, because guys really whipped through those questions pretty fast, is give you an opportunity to talk about, you know, how what you're doing, what your contribution is from your company's standpoint to this industry and the relationship with NSAs, and how you see the relationship with NSAs interfacing with you as this industry continues to grow and change and very heavily influenced by technology. And we know sometimes as technology happens, some things we used to do by hand don't need to be done anymore, and then other things take their place. So who would like to jump into that? You have to think about that one a little bit first.
Yeah, that wasn't on the script.
It wasn't on the script.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'll start. I mean, I've been involved as one of the founding members of the Signing Professionals Work Group, and you know, that started when I was with Bank of America, and I'll tell you, I hated getting emails from Brian Moynihan, the CEO of Bank of America, because there was an issue with the notary. And I got frustrated, and we reached out to the National Notary Association, as well as all of the other lenders and the major title companies, and we said, there's got to be a better way. We know there are great notaries out here. We have to figure out a way to let them elevate themselves. And so I've been involved for a long time in thinking about this. My perspective is very simple. You are our partners, and that goes from the entire value chain, from the loan officer who has the interaction, whether they're in a call center or they're an actual outside loan officer, to title, to the signing service, down to the consumer. You are our partner, and you guys have probably heard this before, but in many cases, you're the only face they will ever see in that experience. And so my perspective is very simple. We need input and information from you, and then we have input and information to give to you, and as long as we communicate and work together to increase the professionalism of this body of partners, it's going to deliver a better solution. I think that all of us have to grow. There's a lot of money coming into this business, the mortgage business, and change is happening. I mean, you hear it from some of the panel members here, but there's a lot more change coming. And so I would really implore you to stay familiar with what's happening, try new things. Don't just sit back on your laurels and think that the business is going to keep coming to you, because it's going to change, and it's going to change swiftly. And so use your partners to learn as much as you can and to grow, and then continue to give us feedback as well.
Exactly where I was going. Thank you, Alan. Would anybody else like to piggyback on that answer?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking on this end, so
yeah, I figured,
go ahead.
you know, you started over there long enough, you know, you're gonna keep it on our side now. Really, empowerment is the word that comes to my mind. You know, because, you know, just like you said, I mean, you're the face for us in the field, right? To all the consumers that we're all trying to impress with your professionalism, you know, what we provide to them from a digital experience on behalf of a lender, right? Who really works tightly with all of us and grades us all, you know, similarly, right? So what we're trying to do is empower the people that help us to make sure that everything that we do for our consumers and our clients really is top quality, you know, professional, and everything that they expect from us and more.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, so my business partner, Dean, and I, we left our glamorous jobs at the title company to start our signing service because of the frustration of bad notaries blowing up closings. And that's where the heart of our business started. It affected us in a real way, personally and financially. And so our passion is kind of twofold. One, it's to create the best possible closing experience at the closing table. I think every closing deserves that. I think every borrower deserves to understand what they're signing, not just be pushed to sign and move on. And in addition to that, as we started building relationships with notaries, we began to understand that all these bad notaries weren't necessarily bad people. They were just not educated in what they needed to know to be good notaries. And so that's what's birthed our passion to start Closer Hub as a training company to help notaries not only learn how to perform closings, but beyond that, to how to grow your business, how to be a successful business owner as a notary. And certainly signing service business is a big part of that, but diversification, I think, is key, especially in the marketplace that we're in. As interest rates go up, as technology improves, I think it would behoove us all to look at our businesses and take control of them as much as we can as possible, and look at expanding your offerings and providing excellent service at every level that you can. And that's what's going to separate you from other competitors, notaries, whatever, that are just in an app or in a database somewhere. You can actually separate yourself, not be a commodity in this world, and stand out and be a successful business owner. That's what we're passionate about.
Thank you. Jennifer?
So several years ago, before Notary Dash, whenever I launched Prestige Notaries, like that was the reason that I launched my signing service, was because closers were, the closers I worked with were giving me these just horror stories. And I was already mentoring a couple of signing agents at that time, and I thought, what better way to mentor hundreds of signing agents is if I started my own service. And that's exactly what I did. And what I learned, other than the education, was that most signing agents really did not know how to run a business. They didn't know how to calculate their cost of doing business. They didn't know what their price point was, whether they were making money or not. And so I'm super passionate about it, and I try to bring this up to a lot of notaries. If don't complain about your fees. Figure out your cost of doing business. If you don't know how, then ask someone for help, like Steve. I mean, he's got this platform, and figure out for yourself what your price point is. And you don't have to go below that, right? I mean, you get to decide for yourself how much money you make. And I think that that's really important, especially as the years go on and we're gonna see maybe, a huge difference in the number of signing agents we have, and whether they're web or e or traditional. I just really encourage you to get to know your business and learn not only how to be just a signing agent, but an entrepreneur, a business person, a marketer, customer service, a customer service manager, a conflict resolution person. So, I mean, you really need to know all aspects of the business to be successful.
Thank you very much. Brian, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think we absolutely love our panel. We feel very fortunate of how long the panel's been with us. I've been in this industry a very long time. I started in the Pittsburgh area back in the 1990s, and I never understood this beat up the vendor mindset, right? Just beat them up, beat them up, beat them up, beat them up. And we started Amrock. That was one of the things I said we will never do. So we've always focused it on what is the partner experience. So things like the mobile app and technology that's come along and giving you the ability to confirm you did the closing, which automatically sets up your payable, which automatically deposit an ACH into your account. You don't have to do all the bookkeeping. After a while, many of our folks are like, you know what, I'm done doing that. I know that the payable that's coming to us is right, and just make it simplified for you. So our approach from our partner management team, see these guys all in blue up here, has always been focused on develop a relationship with that partner because they represent us at the table and they make or break whether we get the next closing. Hands down, that's what happens. So we feel very fortunate with our relationship and what we're able to drive value to the partner through education platforms, through automatic payments. And we just continue to look at it as like, how do we make your world easier? We know if we do that, you'll absolutely want to work with us. And you can see it in the scores out there on the sites, and we watch those. The other big thing that we love is, if you look at the last couple of things that have rolled out for our app, it wasn't our brain trust that came up with it. We just listened to feedback from our panel. Our panel's like, hey, it should do this. Our panel said, hey, it should do this. It'd be great if it could do this. We've got a great technology team that's, we've got a ton of ideas, but it doesn't matter. You're the user experience that we want to have that best experience. Technology team's like, yeah, we can do that. We can do this. We can roll that out. So it's really feedback from our panel that does it. So I feel very fortunate, and I certainly recognize some of the horror stories out there, but I feel fortunate with our panel. I feel fortunate of the relationship that we have and the feedback that they've given us to help us develop things that create a better experience for them, an easier user experience for them.
Easier is better. Aaron, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll add quickly. So similar to other folks on this stage, I came from the industry. I was an NSA for many years. I ran a national signing service for many years. As a notary signing agent, I remember trying to track down payment from dozens or even 100+ companies. And that sort of is anecdotal for the challenge that a lot of signing agents have in this industry, is that you're dealing with a lot of companies. And there's a lot of companies out there who would probably love to work with you, but you might not be on their radar yet. So in terms of what we build for signing services, we're trying to sort of defragment this environment for you so that you have one control panel that will help you manage payments across many companies, manage credentials across many companies. When new requirements come out, we want to make sure that they're front and center for you so that you can choose to do those requirements or not. And in doing so, ideally empower you and make your jobs a bit easier.
Thank you. All right, we are quickly coming to a close of this panel. We have just a little over a minute left. Does anybody have anything they wanted to add for the good of the order on this topic about NSAs not having to spin their wheels trying to figure out where the work is, but easier ways for that work to be identified for them and for them to be identified, available for that work? Any last thoughts about that?
A lot of thought. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. Technology is changing things, and as discussed in this panel, it's probably good to engage with some of these changes and embrace some of them. Not all of them are going to be really easy, but if you keep doing a great job, you keep building your reputation, you keep building relationships with these companies, you'll continue to get more work and thrive as a notary signing agent.
Thank you.
I'll add one part. We touched base on it lately.
10 seconds.
Some of them, but 10 seconds, all right. E-closings are definitely a way of the future. So if you're not looking at what your state's doing and keeping track of your regulations and understanding what services you can perform in there, I really encourage you to do that because they are moving fast right now, whether it's in-person electronic notarization or remote online notarization. Those platforms are moving fast throughout the country. So just pay attention to where your state's at, and another channel of business may be coming your way based on where your regulations are today.
Okay. Well, guess what? We're able to close off this panel on time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. How's that? Now, I will tell you that panelists will be here. If you have a question, you weren't able to answer it because it wasn't really set up for that, come on up and ask your question, okay? I'm sure one of us will be able to address it. But I appreciate that you stayed here to listen to this session instead of going off to the strip. So I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you enjoyed this session. Maybe you learned something about what's going on and how you might be able to get some more work a little easier. Thank you for attending today.